Hello everyone, and welcome to The Vortex, where lies and falsehoods are trapped and exposed. I'm Michael Voris. The earliest beginnings of the 2012 campaign are kicking into gear, believe it or not, and the predictable political analysis is shaping up. The old red state, blue state landscape is reappearing. For some who might not know, the red state, blue state expression comes from the practice of TV journalists on election night coloring their great big U.S. maps, red states that go for the Republican candidate and blue states that go for the Democratic candidate. Those geographical delineations tend to mask a much deeper reality, however. This nation is divided, and desperately so. Despite all the cries for unity, as long as the differences remain, any unity would be false. The answer to why can't we all just get along is because we all disagree on fundamentals that have real consequences in our day-to-day lives. For example, people who think premarital sex is perfectly acceptable are never going to share a great comfort level with people who see the contraceptive mentality, which is necessary in premarital sexual relationships, as evil. One sees it as good, the other sees it as evil. But the reality is that this red state, blue state mentality is very much the reality in the Catholic Church today. When you sit down and make a list of things one must believe to be a faithful Catholic, it is a fact that most Catholics in the West simply refuse to believe them. Whether it's the teaching on sexual morality or the necessity of worshiping God as He wants to be worshiped at Mass each Sunday, most Catholics simply do not care. And they vote too, except they vote with their lives and how they live them. The ultimate reason for all the division is a rejection of the authority of the Church. The reasons for rejecting authority are numerous and vary from person to person, but in the end, a sizable majority of Catholics must reject the authority of Christ and His Church. They just simply reject it. What this creates is a kind of red church, blue church scenario. But since the truth is that there cannot be two churches, what in practice happens is that people walking around with the name Catholic really aren't at all. They don't embrace the faith and hold it fast. Whatever association they have with the Church is passing and based on ethnicity or cultural familiarity or family identity, but whatever the reason, it is not based on a deep love of our Lord. Any other motive aside from that is wanting. Now, the reality is that when the initial hippie generation threw off their Catholic chains, as they see them, many of them knew the truth at that point and were filled with lust for the world rather than love for God. But today's unfaithful crowd is more like ignorant sheep who have known little else other than the enticements of sin and rebellion without really understanding what they are rebelling against. They do not like authority because they view it as authoritarian instead of the love of God who wants to shepherd His people away from self-destruction. So it seems like vast swaths of the clergy, especially those bishops who barely utter a peep about the carnage all around them, are simply content to let the red church, blue church dichotomy remain fixed in place. It now becomes a moral imperative for others to step up and fight for these souls. Faithful Catholics who know the truth will be held responsible for staying quiet as their brothers and sisters perish. It is a lie to say that you care for someone if you do not care for their soul first, last, and every point in between. Everyone on earth deserves to hear the truth of the faith. They are made to the image and likeness of God, and God brought them into existence to be with Him for life everlasting. The Church holds the keys to the narrow gate, and to keep that way blocked up is evil. The red church, blue church state of the Church right now is one such evil because it presents the case, at least subconsciously, that it is somehow all right or okay to be a less than fully believing Catholic. Less than full belief in the faith immediately becomes less than full living the faith. Prayer declines, worship fades, the world becomes more attractive, and the Church slowly moves, in the eyes of the disaffected Catholic, from a way of life to something that has problems, to something that is just sometimes right, to something that is frequently out of touch, to an authoritarian institution that can be ignored. No blue church Catholic ever wakes up one morning and suddenly finds himself a red church Catholic. He passes through a number of shades of purple first. God love you. I'm Michael Voris.
Please help us keep delivering these kinds of messages that so desperately need to be heard and acted on. Join RealCatholicTV.com today as a premium subscriber. Become immersed in the faith established by Jesus Christ. The Catholic Church is the only hope against evil because that is its God-given mission. As our Lord said, apart from me, you can do nothing. Join RealCatholicTV.com today as a premium subscriber and come to learn and love Christ more deeply.